What's the Chow Chinchows JoesphGames here, your coach the Everton Empoleons, and welcome to week 1 of the IBL. Yes, the Indigo Battle League is back for its 3rd season, and we are here for week number 1. We are facing Lazy Ghost and his Birmingham Arons. I don't know why I keep on wanting to say Agrons, but it's not true. We are here to face the Birmingham Arons. As we can see, my team is James, the Mega Venusaur, Nelly, V Donphan, Zelda, V Diance, Wet the Vaporeon, 4 V Fundorus, Fundorus Furion, yeah, T, Fundorus T, and Jelly Baby, my Reuniclus. He has Mega Lopunny, Slowking, Caesar, Chandelure, Zapdos, and what's the final Pokemon of his team? Hippowdon. There we go. Hippowdon. And we start this match with him going into his Mega Lopunny as I go into James, my Venusaur. James is bulky enough to see what he can do and see what switches to make. I switch into Jelly Baby, my Reuniclus here, sensing he was going to go for the Fake Out, which he does. Once he Megas, obviously. As we can see, Mega Fake Out. I need to slow down my commentary because, I know what already happens, and I sort of already have just done a failed recording of this. He switches into Slowking as I go for the Acid Armor to bulk up my defenses. As you can see, we both have we are both physical and special defensive Reuniclus, so we have Carmine and Acid Armor, which is great. He goes for the Dragon Tail to force me to switch out, getting rid of my buffs, which is kind of annoying, but it's okay. He switches me into Zelda. I do not want Zelda in on Slowking. That is not a thing that I want. So I'm going to switch out. Into 4, which is probably the wrong play. I probably could have gone onto Vaporeon here. Vaporeon was probably the right play. Scald did a lot of damage. As I go for the Thunderbolt this turn. And that did quite a bit of damage too, but not a lot, and not enough to kill, sadly. And he does get the early kill on for my Fundorus. Sadly, that was not really what I wanted, but it's okay. It's okay. I go into Vaporeon here as he switches out into his Zapdos. As I go for the Toxic on the switch in to Toxic up, and I mean my play was to actually try and Toxic up the Slowking, which I do later, but this was the play to Toxic up the Slowking. But you know, Toxic up the Zapdos is always good too, because Zapdos is so bulky. He goes for the U-turn here. I was trying to scout for an electrical attack. And he switches into Fan Service's Mega Lopunny. As I switch out into Reuniclus. He goes for the Fake Out. I was sort of sensing that. That's why I didn't want to stay in with James. As he switches out into Caesar as I go for the Recover. I haven't recorded a battle like this in a very long time, so I'm learning. He goes for the U-turn. It does do quite a bit of damage, but I am able to bulk it. As he goes to Pants King his Slowking here. I go for the Acid Armor to bulk up my defenses again. And then go for the Recover to get my HP back because I want defenses, but I also want my HP back too. He goes for the Dragon Tail, forcing me to switch out. Getting rid of my buffs, but I do get the recover off, which is quite nice. He switches me back into Zelda. And I really don't want to be in here with Zelda as he's got Slowking, so I decide to switch out again. I go into James here, which is... I don't know if that's the right play or not. I could have gone into Vaporeon. But he does switch into Zapdos. And we do get some more poison damage off on Zapdos, which is great for me. I switch out into Nelly the Donphan. Probably the wrong play. Probably could have gone into Zelda. Zelda's probably the right play as he goes for the Air Cutter. And it does do quite a bit of damage to Nelly the Donphan. But Nelly can take those moves. Not great, but he does take them. He can be defensive. He does have some bulk too now. Nelly does have some bulk. He switches into his Caesar as I go for the knockoff to knock off his Ochre Berry, which I think was a good play. He goes for the Roost. As I go for the Fire Fang, which I'm very, very happy that we had, because now, especially now that we knocked off his Ochre Berry. He goes for the U-turn, knocking me into the yellow, but he gets knocked into the red because of my Rocky Helmet. And he switches into Triple H. As I go for the Fire Fang again, not doing as much damage as before, doing a little bit of damage, but it's okay. It's okay. But we didn't do a lot of damage. It's okay. I switch out into Wet, my Vaporeon. He Earthquakes, which does do okay damage to Wet. Not great, but does do quite a bit of damage to Wet. But we got Rafty's Recover. We can take these moves. We can take these Earthquakes. It's fine. It is totally fine for us to take Earthquakes. He switches out into his Zapdos again. As I go for the Wish to get my HP back, because I can take these and I do have recovery, so I kind of want to use it. The Toxic doesn't do a lot of damage to him, sadly, as I go for the Protect to try and scout for Discharge. He does not use Discharge this turn, so I'm not able to scout for Discharge. He uses Air Cutter, probably thinking I was going to switch into into Venusaur, which would have been a really bad play. So I don't know why I would have done that. Unless he sensed that I was going to go for the... I was trying to, prep for a Discharge. I switch into Zelda here, as he does go for the Discharge, revealing he does have Discharge. And Zelda's tanky enough to take those, so it's okay. It's okay. Zelda takes that, and we do get some more toxic damage done to Zapdos. As he switches into Triple H, his Hippowdon, I set up the rocks, which I think was a really good play here. Because there's really no better time to switch to set up the rocks, and I really wanted to set up the rocks. I'm not going to stay in. That is not a play I would do. I would not stay in. EQ would be annoying, so I'm not going to do that. He does go into... He does do the EQ. And it doesn't do as much damage as last time, so min-max and all that. I do get some lefty recovery, as he decides to switch out of Triple H into Mr. Pinchy, his Caesar, as I go for the Scold, and I get rid of Mr. Pinchy, his Caesar. One kill to Vaporeon. And our first kill of the season. It's a shame that, Thunderous went down, but it's okay. Hey, he brings in Zapdos here. Zapdos gets more rocks damage done to him. And I'm not staying it. I'm not staying it. That's not a thing that would happen. That would not be a thing that would happen. I would not stay in with Vaporeon. And the play is to go into Zelda. And that's what I do. I do go into Zelda. He goes for the Roost to get all that HP back. And my god, Zapdos is a tanky Pokemon. This is a tanky turkey. Very tanky turkey is Zapdos. So I'm so glad I Toxiced it. He switches out into Triple H, his Hippowdon. As I go for the Diamond Storm, which sadly doesn't do a lot of damage, I must admit. But it's because it's a resisted hit, but like it does do some. It does do some. I would be quite proud of that damage that it was done there. I switch out into James, my Venusaur, as he decides to set up his rocks. And he decides to switch out into his Zapdos. Kind of annoying. But this time, I finally do decide to Mega, which I'm really actually happy about. It's taken me a long time, but like, we're quite far into this battle now, but I finally actually decide to stay in and Mega, because you can switch out. Like, you don't have to Mega Evolve for, like, you don't have to stay in and Mega. If you decide to stay in, you have to Mega. But of course, if you decide to switch out, you can keep on not, you don't actually have to Mega until you're ready to Mega. But as soon as you decide to stay in, you do have to Mega. That's how this league works. I do decide to switch into Zelda. That's how most leagues work, actually. As he goes for the Roost. And we get more toxic damage on the Zapdos. He goes for the U-turn. And doesn't do any damage to Zelda. Zelda can take U-turns for days, weeks, months, years. Zelda can just take U-turns like forever. As he goes for the Slowking, I go for the Moonblast, because I could have thought he was going to go for the Slowking. Diamond Dust wouldn't have done a lot of damage, so there was no reason for me to Diamond Storm there. There was no reason for me to Diamond Storm. I'm glad I got the special defense drop, the special attack drop, but there really wasn't too much damage I could do to Slowking. So I do go into Wet, as he decides to go for the Dragon Tail, which is kind of annoying, switching me into Jelly Baby, but Jelly Baby can take Slowbro as well. I go for the Calm Mind to see what he is going to do. As he goes for the Dragon Tail again. In my mock battles, after this battle, I do have a few mock battles with the same team using the AI, and I do realise he does actually carry Shadow Ball on this Slowking, so I don't know why he never used it. He switches into his Zapdos here as I go into Nelly the Donphan. And because I want to get rid of these rocks, and I was willing to sacrifice Nelly at this point to get rid of these rocks. I was willing to sacrifice Nelly to get rid of these rocks. I was thinking that Nelly, switching in Nelly, getting the Rapid Spin off, and then him scolding me. That's what I was thinking he was going to do. Lo and behold, he decides to actually switch into Zapdos. So I don't have to worry about it. But, I was willing to sacrifice Nelly just to get rid of these rocks. I go for the Fire Fang, doesn't do a lot of damage as I decide to, and now I decide to switch out into Zelda, my Diancie. As he goes for the Air Cutter, does practically nothing to Zelda. Zelda can take those again all day. Zelda can take most things that Zapdos does all day. Maybe not Heat Wave, so. He decides to switch out into Slowking. as I go for the Moonblast again. Not doing a lot of damage and definitely not getting the special attack drop this turn, but like still doing some damage. Switching out into James here on the Psychic, which was kind of a bad play. I could have gone into Vaporeon and Vaporeon would have been able to take a Psychic really well. Kind of annoyed that I did that myself right now. But he does decide to switch out into Zapdos, as I go for the Giga Drain, getting rid of the Zapdos. Very nice, well done to James. My Mega Venusaur. He goes for Illuminate, his Illuminate, sorry, his his Chandelure. And here I'm trying to prep for the Broom Doom. He doesn't do the Bloom Doom. I'm now thinking he was choiced, as he goes for the Shadow Ball and does take out James. I go for Zelda. Again, still trying to prep for this Broom Doom, because that's basically what we were trying to prep for. We were trying to prep for Bloom Doom. We wanted to see if he would Bloom Doom with the Z Energy Ball, but he decided not to Bloom Doom. He switches out into Slowking. I go for the Diamond Storm, thinking he might stay in and do the Bloom Doom because I was still prepping for the Bloom Doom. He does not do the Bloom Doom. And Diamond Storm did do quite a bit of damage this time, which is great. I switch into Wet by Vaporeon, as he decides to switch out into Triple H his Hippowdon. I get some HP back with lefties, he gets some HP back with lefties, we all get some HP back with lefties. He decides to switch out into Slowking again, get Regenerator HP plus lefties. Basically that's what his thing was. I go for the Wish, because I need some HP. I want to be back at full HP. So I get a little bit of lefties recovery and I want to be back at full HP. I go for the Toxic this turn, because I really want to get rid of this Slowking, and I'm so glad I went for the Toxic, because Slowking is so bulky. He goes for the Scald, and I have Water Absorb, so I'm not exactly sure why he did that. I think he was trying to get me back up to full HP, knowing my Wish would fail if he did get me back up to full HP. So, that's possibly the play, I'm not exactly sure. He switches into a Powdon as I go for the Scald this turn, predicting the. Actually, I just wanted to do some damage. I wasn't predicting anything. Why am I saying I'm predicting anything? I wasn't predicting a darn thing. But I did. I'm quite happy that that paid off, and they did get the Scald on Hippowdon. He switches into his Slowking again to get more Regenerator HP. As I go for the Scald, not doing a lot of damage, but still doing some damage, and of course, toxic damage is always good. Always, always good. I go for the Protect to scout out for the Dragon Tail, and of course, I do see the Dragon Tail, so I'm glad I protected. I go for the Scald this turn, as he goes for the Psychic, which does okay damage, but again, it's a crit, so you can't really measure damage based on crits. You can't measure damage based on crits, ladies and gentlemen. That's one thing you need to learn. Lesson of the day: can't base damage based on crits. Can't measure damage based on crits. He switches out into his Lopunny, as I set up my Wish, because I want my HP back, and I just got critted, so I'm gonna wish. I'm gonna wish for my HP back. I want my HP back. Please give me my HP back. I don't want to get critted again. I go for the Protect to get off the Wish and get my HP back. That was always the plan. He goes for the. I sensed the Fake Out as well. That's also why I went for the Protect and got my HP back. Yay! he switches out into Pants King, his Slowking again. As I go for the Scold, I was thinking at that time I kind of wanted to get the burn on Mega Lopunny. That's why I went for the Scold there. Basically, I just wanted to do some damage and possibly try and get a burn off on Mega Lopunny. I was setting out for the Dragon Tail here, and of course, Dragon Tail is there, so I decided to protect, and I'm very, very happy I did. I go for the Scold again here to get some more damage done. Doesn't do a lot of damage. I knew I wasn't going to get the double protect off, and I'm not a jammy person. I don't play for double protects. He just decided to Dragon Tail me into Zelda, and at this point I'm thinking I can probably leave Zelda in. There's a chance I might outspeed this Slowking, and really, with the amount of HP this Slowking's lost, Zelda could probably take this thing out, but he does decide to switch out into her Palossands. As I go for the Moonblast, taking Hippowdon into the red, which is great, but I don't know if he has Slack off or not, so, you know, don't know if he has recovery. He just decided to switch out into Pants King, his Slowking, getting Regenerator off again. As I decide to switch out, I could have gone for the Diamond Storm and probably killed the Slowking now, realizing that's possibly something I could have done, but I wasn't willing to risk it. I really wasn't willing to risk it. I go into Vaporeon. I played a bit more careful than I probably should have done, really. Sometimes I'm thinking to myself, I do play a bit too careful in this match, as he decides to go for fan service. His Mega Lopunny. I go for the Protect to see what he was going to do. I thought he might try and Dragon Tail me out and stay in with Slowking again. Of course, he does switch out, getting the Regenerator HP off again, so yeah, I do switch out of Wet into Jelly Baby, Milo Uniclus, Brush Uniclus, and Vaporeon can take most things that Slowking can do to me. I go for the Acid Armor here to see what to bulk him out and to see what he's going to do to me. He goes for the Dragon Tail to switch me out and get rid of my buffs. And switches me back into Diancie. But it's okay, because with the amount of toxic damage he's taken here, again, I kind of think that I could take him. But I decided not to this turn. I decided not to, and I go back into Jelly Baby. He goes for the Scold. I was thinking I'm going to stay in, but like, no, not doing that. Not risking it. Not risking it at all. More toxic damage is done to Pants King, and I'm able to take the Scold really nicely. He switches into Illuminate, his Chandelure, and get more rocks damage done to it as I go for the recovery, because I want to recover. This is more of a physically defensive Reuniclus more than a specially defensive Reuniclus, but we do have both Calm Mind and Acid Armor, so we can be both. I switch into Wet, my Vaporeon here, as he goes for the Shadow Ball. And that does do quite a bit of damage. This is a specially defensive Vaporeon, but, you know, this is a Tree Specs max special attack Chandelure, probably, so, you know, I can't really take those hits most of the time. I do go for the Scold this turn to finally get rid of the Chandelure, which I'm kind of happy about. I do get some recovery back, but not a lot of recovery. But again, second kill for Vaporeon, so very good. This time I let Vaporeon die off to the return here from Mega Lopunny. I can't really take, you know, at that HP I couldn't take any more hits, so I'm glad I'm bowing out. I'm glad that Vaporeon's going out. He did well this week, very well. He goes for the return as I go for the Shattered Spike. For the Z Shy Shock. I was thinking he might switch into a Slowking and keep this Mega Lopunny alive, but I was fine with either way. I would have got a kill. Either way, I would have got a kill. With the amount of HP Slowking's lost, I would have got a kill on that thing too with Shattered Psyche. He does switch into the Slowking now, though. As the battle timer sadly runs out, and that is the end of the battle, giving the win to your Everton Empoleons. 3-2. So I'm quite happy with that, but kind of annoyed that we went down to timer, but it's okay. It's okay. That we went to timer, but thank you to the Lazy Ghost for that match. It was a really fun match, and I really enjoyed it. But if you enjoyed it, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Lazy, if we meet again in the playoffs, we'll have to play around and make sure that our next match doesn't go to timer to find out who is the real better man. But we'll have to wait until we'll have to wait until the playoffs for that. Not making playoff plans week 1. Not making playoff plans week 1. We got the win. That's all I need. But until next time, I'm JoesphGames. It's a grand old team to play for. It's a grand old team to support. And if you know your history, it's enough to make your heart go for. We don't care what the other side say. Why the hell would we care? 'Cause we only know that there's gonna be a show when the Empoleons are there. When the Empoleons are there. And until next time, me to love Pokemon, get to letter. Everybody get Pokemon. Good night.